Hi everyone, I'm Carolyn. Welcome back to another episode of As I See It. I want to talk about how much America hates women, how little value Americans, American institutions, lawmakers, politicians, religions, how little value they put on the lives of women. And yes, this has to do with the whole Roe versus Wade thing. And I can't help but think about this every time I hear people debate about the life of something literally the size of an egg that, again, has no feelings, doesn't feel pain, doesn't have a full brain, doesn't have emotions, how that is valued over me, you, a full-grown woman who's had a life of experiences and emotions and feelings and wants and needs and intellectual integrity and emotional integrity. Something that doesn't even have a single feeling is valued more than me and my life. Don't believe me? More than 700 women die in childbirth every year. Childbirth is more dangerous to a woman's health than a procedure to end a pregnancy. That's a fact. Of the women who die every year from childbirth, in childbirth, or related to childbirth, women of color, indigenous women, black women, Hispanic women, are 2 to 3 times more likely to die due to childbirth than white women. A woman, a teenager, a child who is raped by a stranger, by a priest, by a father, an uncle, a neighbor, in many states will be forced to endure carrying their rapist's child. If that isn't some twisted, sadistic stuff, I don't know what is. Dealing with rape is bad enough. You carry a lifetime of shame, self-hatred in a lot of cases. I mean, I know, I'm a survivor. It's a lot. I've spent a lifetime trying to get over that. A lifetime of messiness and ugly, dark places. Can't imagine if I had a kid on top of that. To force an 11-year-old, I just read a story about an 11-year-old who was raped and pregnant. Luckily, she was able to end the pregnancy. But that's going to change. An 11-year-old girl raped by, let's say, her father is going to be forced to carry that embryo until it becomes a child, a baby. That 11-year-old girl, that child, these pro-life, it's all about babies, it's all about children. What about the child who's raped? We don't matter. The women don't matter. They don't care. I literally, I travel a lot and I hear a lot of conservative talk radio. Sometimes I stay on it if I can stomach it to hear what they have to say. This happened to be a religious one. A preacher was talking about the sins of, ending pregnancy. You know what he said? The women who are pregnant are gifted. It's a gift from God. We are gifted. No matter what, no matter how that little gift, that little bundle of gift got there, even if our father raped us, it's a gift. And we are merely the carriers of that gift. We're the babysitters. That's what he said. Women are the babysitters. They're just the babysitters, the caretakers. That's all we are. We're not people. We're babysitters for something the size of an egg. Our lives don't matter. You know, there's a Black Lives Matter movement. What about a women's lives matter movement? What about our autonomy? What about our dreams and our plans, our goals? Are girls, as soon as they hit puberty, gonna have to go on birth control? Is that where we are? Your 11-year-old daughter hits puberty. She goes on the pill because heaven forbid she get raped. She's going to be forced to carry her rapist baby. Here's another statistic for you. As I said in a previous video, more than 22% of women who seek the procedure are in abusive relationships. Being forced to have a child that you don't want, in many cases, I would say most cases, almost forces that woman to stay with her abuser. Once you have a kid, you're trapped. In many cases, how do you get out of an abusive situation if you don't have family? If you're, even if you do have a high school degree and you have a college degree, how are you going to work and raise a kid? It's harder if you're poor, and in most cases you are poor, because women of means will be able to terminate their pregnancy safely. That's a fact. This law does not prevent all procedures. It prevents women, poor women, women of color especially. Not only does it prevent them from getting procedures, it kills them when they seek out illegal procedures. Is that the goal? Is that the goal? I can't help but think that maybe it is, especially since most of the women who die in pregnancy and who are going to die from illegal procedures are women of color. Is that the goal? Is there really a racist underlying thing here? We imprison all the black men, all Hispanic men, all the native men, just ship them off to reservations and don't give them resources. We get rid of them that way. So is this how we get rid of women of color? We kill them off by forcing them to go through pregnancies that are going to kill them? Or to have illegal ones that are going to kill them? And you know that's how this story goes. This repealing Roe v. Wade does not end this procedure. It drives it underground. And as soon as anything gets driven underground, it becomes more dangerous for those without means. Here's another statistic. 47,000 women are killed by their partners every year. Well, in 2020, 47,000 women are killed by their partners. 20% of women who seek procedures are in abusive relationships. Some of them are going to be killed by their partners. Their lives don't matter, do they? They're just vessels. They're just babysitters. Sacred is the life of the embryo. And fuck the woman's life. She doesn't matter. She's just a carrier. She's just a babysitter. It's her job to have the baby, and who cares what happens to her in the meantime or afterward. That's what our society thinks of women. You can't say you care about life without ever acknowledging the lives of women who will be lost, who are lost by repealing Roe versus Wade. So what happens, here's the real story. Women who are forced to go through with pregnancies they don't want are poorer, they're less educated, generally, on the most part. They're more likely to stay in abusive relationships. Who does this benefit, really? Companies? Men. It's about control. It's about power. If it was about life, we would care about the lives of women. If it was about life, we would enact laws, like I said in previous videos, to make sure kids are taken care of. But that's not what it's about. It is about power. It is about control. It is about providing a cheap workforce, if you even want to go that far. Women who have kids, and usually about 50% of them within 5 years, I think I read, are raising the kid on their own. Cheap labor, usually. The kids, I said in a previous video, the kids have a lifetime of troubles, criminality, mental illness, mental issues. Though they too will be cheap labor. Is that what this is really about? It's about control. It's about having a cheap labor force. It's about controlling women, making sure they don't get too far. We certainly don't want them breaking any glass ceilings, which is going to be 10 times, 100 times harder to do when you got kids you got to raise by yourself and you're worried about putting food on the table. Is that what this is about? You weigh women down with kids they don't want. There's a lot less room in their lives for competing with men. There's a lot less room in their lives for educating themselves, for getting better jobs, for climbing that corporate ladder, for holding the men in their lives more accountable, right? If you rely on that man to feed your kids and you're trapped, you may not be holding him as accountable as he needs to be held. There's a lot here. This is a big issue. To focus on life, and I said this in a previous video, I know a lot of good people who are pro-life, who really, really in their heart of hearts believe it is about saving babies' lives. I urge you to think about it from another angle. What about the lives of the women? What about the lives of her other children, as I said in a previous video? What about the lives of the life of the baby once it's a baby, a child, an adult? Taking away access to health care is a form of control, keeping us in situations we would rather not be in. That's the bottom line. It takes away opportunity. It takes away choice. That's how I see it. Leave your thoughts below.